Next. Okay. After the meeting. So after the meeting, then obviously you will have an engagement letter. If they don't send you an engagement letter outlining their services or some sort of contract, that's not a very good sign.
Yeah, that's not a good sign at all.
So just make sure you review the engagement letter. 99.99999% of bookkeepers will make you sign one. This will be very detailed regarding what services are included.
Services, yeah.
You know, so make sure you read through it. So, you know, if you said, let's say, oh, I want, you know, accounts payable publishing to be included and it's not in the engagement letter, then at least you can, you know, tell her, hey, I want this included. Please make sure it's included. Just double check these things. And after you sign the engagement letter, then check if your bookkeeper will provide the following: a timeline, an onboarding checklist, or a follow-up. Do not expect a timeline and an onboarding checklist if you did not sign the engagement letter. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, if you haven't signed the engagement letter, they're automatically going to assume that you are not interested.
Yeah, exactly. So they may follow up with you, but don't expect like a timeline or an onboarding checklist.
And a lot of bookkeepers aren't going to chase you because, I mean, this is not a very sales-driven industry. It's a lot of introverted people. If you simply ignore this, they're not going to follow up a lot of the time. They'll just disregard it as that person doesn't want they're not interested.
Exactly. Well, that's what I think also. Yeah. So, like, just note that you're dealing with an industry of introverts. This is not very well known for being a very extroverted industry. So, you know, that comes with the territory.
Yeah, they don't want to cause any issues by being too selly.
Exactly. So just note that with the timeline, I would say during tax season, if you're coming in around, you know, Feb, March, wanting to get this done, you're going to be coming in with a lot of other people who want to get their bookkeeping done.
You may even get charged a
rush premium
fee simply because you're coming in during at the worst possible time.
Exactly. And regarding the onboarding checklist, this would not only be like, oh, I need, you know, these bank statements or these credit card statements. These could be, you know, permissions they need from you, like access to whatever software you're using.
Yeah, and usually at this point, once you've signed the engagement letter and you start going through this checklist, this is where they will really see, well, the bookkeeper is really going to see whether or not this relationship will work. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times in the engagement letter, you'll see a clause where if you take too long to do something, they will simply like fire you as a client. Mm-hmm. And that's because if you take like 6 months to give a authorization to, you know, your CRA account, and then that's happened to us, they will just disengage with you because
you're going to be a headache.
They're seeing you as you're wasting their time.
Yeah. So note that the onboarding checklist is not just a list of documents, it's also permissions, and this is really going to be the start of your relationship. So before you commit or marry your bookkeeper, as we say, you can shop around, right? Like, you know, finding a bookkeeper is like finding, you know, your significant other. Let's say you're in a dating stage, you know, you're trying to see if there are other people that are better fits out there.
Yeah, and it's very common as well, especially around tax season, to have like several different calls in a day from, you know, multiple clients. But you know, for example, if we get a small sole proprietor business where they're doing, you know, 30 to 50 transactions a month, and they want us to only come in the year end and just do a lot of bookkeeping for them, and during peak tax season, and they don't want a QuickBooks account, and
they don't want to track their Excel.
They want to do things through Excel. I'm going to turn around and say we don't do that, and that's because you've just got too much work to do
at year end.
At year end, but also with that many transactions, you can expect quite a bit of revenue as well as quite a bit of expenses. And, if the CRA are asking for your general ledger and you don't have any, then, you'll need an accounting software.
Yeah, so make sure you shop around because not all bookkeepers will be open to whatever style you want to work with. And just think about it this way. We have a lot of filings, like bookkeepers have a lot of filings to do between January to April of every year. You're going to come around during our busiest time and demand that your bookkeeping be done during our peak season. And then you want the lowest fees. So what's going to happen to our other clients who pay us constantly year round because we do their bookkeeping each month, and you want to push in and pay us once a year?
Yeah, so I always go back to this example from Arielle's father, my father-in-law. Don't expect a Ferrari for the price of a Toyota, right? And so when you're trying to pay the cheapest amount, you can't expect A-grade service, and you can't expect to be pushed to the front of the line, and you can't expect to be prioritized. It's just not appropriate.
Yeah. So talk to other bookkeeping firms. Just because you get one quote doesn't mean that's the person you need to go with. Shop around, talk to other bookkeeping firms, and also prioritize, right? Your wants versus your needs, the budget that you have versus the services that you need. So for example, you may want like a full white glove kind of service, but that's not really in your budget. So you need to know which services you can cut or like live without for your budget to work. For example, most of our clients, we really do provide a white glove service. What I tell clients is all you need to do is create your invoice. We will deal with the rest. We will speak to the CRA. You don't even need to ever speak to the CRA. We will speak to them for you.
No, not that we don't create the invoices anyway.
Exactly.
Like that's a separate service. But the majority of small business owners, they want to invoice their own clients.
Exactly. So that's what I tell people. When you're with us, it's like your bookkeeping is on autopilot. Your bookkeeping will get done, things will be filed, and you never have to think about it. Everyone's, oh, I love that. And it's like, yes, that's the service we provide. But also, because it is that convenient and because it is white glove, it is more premium than other people, I would say. It comes with the territory, right? The more convenient it is for you, the more you have to pay.